We are live and recording. Hi, Zach. How you doing?
Doing great. What's up, Ariel?
Oh, all good over here. We're enjoying a nice sunny day in New York, New York, and I am very excited to be here with you virtually and soon to be with Pod Sound School for our event, How to Create High Quality Videos and Clips for Your Podcast Using SquadCast.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I think Studio Steve's got some knowledge bombs to drop on us, and
He
excited to see
calls
how
them
we can
nuggets.
nuggets. There we go. I like that. I like that. So a lot to share today, and thank you for everybody for joining us.
Yeah, we're so excited to put on another community initiative for you all at SquadCast. For those who don't know me, my name is Ariel Nissenblatt, and I'm the community manager at SquadCast. And we have Facebook groups, we have now a Slack channel, we have a whole bunch of learning initiatives that we're putting together for our SquadCast community that we are officially calling Squad Pod. And if you're interested in joining our Squad Pod, which means access to more events like this, as well as more intimate events for learning opportunities for your podcast and for ways to amplify your podcast, you can join our Squad Pod, and I'll drop an application link in the chat over here in just a moment. In another moment, we're going to invite on Studio Steve and the Pod Sound School team onto the screen, and they're going to share with you some tips for how to create videos and clips for your podcast using SquadCast's video recording abilities. So, Zach, I was thinking because you're the CEO and co-founder of SquadCast, why don't you tell us a little bit about what video recording means at SquadCast?
I think it all starts for us with audio recording. That's where we have our roots, and of course, in podcasting. So we started with the highest sound quality possible, and provide a platform that empowers creators, content creators, to collaborate on recording that audio from anywhere in the world. And we have a really big emphasis and principle in our culture at SquadCast of listening. And the most requested feature for SquadCast was to also have the ability to record the video in addition to the audio. And that's really where we took that very seriously, and took a similar approach to not only how we deliver quality content, much like we do with audio. We wanted to bring that to video, of course. Like, we've earned this reputation of quality and reliability. So we're not really eager to squander that, and that was really important to us. So we took basically all the lessons learned, and we have 2 patents pending around how we record and upload in the background, and do things like timing, sync, drift normalization, and a bunch of technical stuff that you don't have to worry about as a podcaster. We do at SquadCast, so that you don't have to. And we brought basically those same approaches to the ability to record video. Also, locally, ISO files for everybody in the conversation, and also no sacrifices when it comes to the quality of the audio. So it really adds up to this experience where you have a lot of creative control. You have a lot of creative options when you go to produce and work with that content that you recorded on SquadCast. And that's really what this conversation today is about. Is now that you have this awesome audio and video that you've worked hard, collaborated with your guests to create. Now what do you do with it? Like, you have this amazing content. Like, let's make some cool stuff with it. And I think that's really where the work at Pod Sound School, and Steve and Veronica, being longtime contributors to the podcast community. I'm a big fan of their YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, I've learned a lot from them, and that's really what was the catalyst for today's conversation. Was like, let's get some pros in here to help people not just record their content, but also then take it to the next level for their audience to have a really great experience when they watch that on YouTube or social media or Instagram, wherever.
Absolutely. And so what we're going to do in just a moment is have them come onto the stage. But before we do that, I imagine some folks that are here watching us live right now, and folks who are going to be watching it in the future, are already SquadCast video recorders, and some of you might not be. But if you are interested in becoming SquadCast video customers, Zach, what can they do?
Yeah, we have some promo codes we can offer. If you're new to SquadCast, you can sign up for a free trial. We have a 7-day free trial with no limits. You can record to your heart's content. whether you want audio only or audio and video or whatever size show you have, we have options there. And that promo code is Newbie, Newbie. We'll get you the hookup when you check out. There's an option for a promo code. Just paste that in there. And if I think a lot of people on this conversation, thankfully, thank you all for already being valued customers of SquadCast. You can upgrade to check out video recording with the promo code BETWEEN, BETWEEN. That'll be in the chat. Thanks, Pedro. And that'll get you the hookup on upgrading to video. So options there to explore, and we'd be honored to help wherever you're at with your show.
Absolutely. And without further ado, we're going to invite Steve and Veronica up to the stage, Pod Sound School. So let me just grab them from the chat. Studio Steve, as he is better known as.
And thank you, Tim. Thanks for all the love in the chat. Keep it coming.
Yeah, and let me just say, Steve is going to present for the next about 45 minutes, but please do ask your questions in the chat. There's also a question tab where you can ask your questions specifically. And you can feel free to type your questions in there. Keep the chat lively. We want to be linked to your podcast. We want to see what's going on in your podcast world. Welcome, Studio Steve.
There he is.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
What up,
Very
Steve?
excited.
How's
Very
it
excited.
going? Yeah, I'm really excited too. It's been a while since I've seen you, and I just have to say the new video features are so cool. We've been experimenting a lot with them, and wow, the video quality you get equal to the quality you get with the audio. We're just huge fans. So this was a real, super pleasure to be here and to share some golden nuggets of wisdom.
Amazing. Well, Steve, should we leave you to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see if I can figure out how to share my screen from here.
Yes,
I just figured it out. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I like
Cool.
Crowdcast. Crowdcast is great.
Yeah,
if
it's
you need
nice.
us, Steve will be just behind the scenes. I can pop on at any time with my voice or my face. Just let me know.
Okay. Yeah, I'll let you know.
All right.
All
Have
right.
fun.
Sounds good. Well, hello, everyone. Like I mentioned, we are SquadCasters. We're the Pod Sound School, and I'm going to go ahead and see if I can share my screen here with you. Chrome tab. Here we go. So today we're going to be talking about how to create high quality videos and clips for your podcast. If you don't know me or don't know the Pod Sound School, we're SquadCasters, podcast producers and coaches. We have clients, we have online courses, we're audio geeks, and much like SquadCast, that's how we got started, was in the world of audio. And we started with an emphasis of trying to get people to get better audio on their podcast. And now that has taken us through a lot of different things, and we really exploded on YouTube. At least that's what we think. In 1 year, we went from 1,000 to 30,000 subscribers on YouTube by following a lot. We just did so much research to figure out how to use video in podcasting, and also how to repurpose your podcast into video and in a way that's effective too. And so we've helped hundreds of students to launch their podcast. And now, much like SquadCast, we have a big demand, and we're listening, and people really want to learn how to repurpose their podcast into video clips for social media, and then also for YouTube videos as well. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to get into the weeds. We're going to do some serious workshopping. So take some screen grabs, or it sounds like Ariel mentioned that there's going to be a way you can watch the replay of this. So,
yes, immediately available afterwards, right here on this link.
Woohoo! Cool. So maybe just relax then, and you can follow along later as well. But before we get into it, I just want to get into why video, why it would be important. And here's just a few statistics. YouTube reports mobile consumption rises 100% every year. 55% of people watching videos online every day. That's pretty insane. Half of the world. 92% of mobile video consumers share videos with others. So it's very shareable. And social video generates 12 times the shares than text and images combined, which is really powerful if you think about it. So we're always looking for ways to bring new listeners to our shows. Well, video is a really cool way to do it. And then video posts on Facebook have 135% greater organic reach than photo posts. Facebook actually will prioritize the video posts that you upload there over your photos and text posts as well. And including video on a landing page can increase your conversion rate by 80%, which I think is pretty powerful stuff. It's pretty obvious. People say that video content is king. But podcasters have a few objections to this, I think, maybe insecurities going into it. One is that I have a face for radio. I'm camera shy. The other one is it's too expensive. I need fancy video equipment. It's too complicated. I got to learn about all of the different, I already had to learn about podcasting. Now I have to learn about the different platforms. And it takes too much time. I only have so much time. Many of us podcasters are, side hustlers. And so it's something we're doing on the side. And, it can be intimidating to get into video. But we really think, and after working with clients and our students, that you're already doing most of the work. And you can use the camera on your phone. So that's really all you have to do. You already have the audio equipment, and that it already puts you ahead of most people starting out on YouTube. And most people, when they first create video content, their audio is garbage. So you're already ahead of the game there. And there's new apps all the time that allow us to use our fancy iPhone cameras or Samsung cameras as webcams. And this can be really cool. Here's two companies here that we've tried. Really impressive stuff. What I really like about that is you can actually flip your camera around backwards, and then you have your flashlight that you can turn on if you don't have good lighting. And that can make for really nice lighting in your videos as well too. So that's definitely something to check out. And you have high quality video and really high quality audio from SquadCast of you, yourself, and your guest. And also editing video is really similar to editing audio. You're already used to looking at audio waveforms and moving things around. So you're really ready to go, and you should really just get yourself in front of camera. You're already doing the podcasting. If you haven't, you already see yourself on camera with your guests or your co-hosts virtually. So now let's turn those into some really high performing video clips for social media, and also video clips or full length videos for YouTube. And so I'm just going to walk through kind of how we can do that and just get into it. So like Ariel mentioned, if you haven't tried out the video feature yet, most of you are probably already SquadCasters here watching this, but if you're not, it's very simple to use. You just log in, you start your session. From here, you're taken to a green room. You can check your camera, check that you're using the right microphone and everything, and then join the session. And then here you get an invite link once you're in the session. You can copy this, email it, text it, whatever you need to your host. Your host joins, and here's Veronica. And I wanted her to use her computer, the camera on her computer for this demonstration for what we were going through, just to see the difference. On the side there, I'm using a Sony camera, which is the camera I'm using now too. So there's all sorts of different camera options you can use with your computer. And then after you're done with that, the record button there, you press stop there, and your recordings will upload. And once your recordings upload, you can download them. And then here's a little tip that I like to do, and we're going to get into this a little bit more too, but a little tip that we like to do is to record a unique intro and outro for a YouTube video or for any other social media that you might need to give context to, maybe a clip of that full interview. Do it right after the interview. So, because that interview or that episode you did with the co-host is fresh in your head. It's fresh in your mind already. So it's a really good time for you to be like, hey, I just had this awesome interview and we talked about this. Check it out right now. And then you have your unique video intro right there. And you just, after your guest leaves, you can just press record again and record that right in SquadCast. And then another tip is, and this is something I really like to think about, and it's this tip comes from a place of, okay, well, I do turn the camera around and I film me and my co-host. I just put our episode directly onto YouTube, and it's not performing well. So we also need to think about what types of videos we want to make. And we also need to make sure that every platform we put those videos on, that we're optimizing our videos and editing our videos in a way that they're going to perform well on those platforms. Because I don't think as podcasters, we're really afraid of the work, even though we might say that, oh, it's too much work. I think we like to hustle. We like the work. The issue or the problem is we need to put our work toward efforts that we know are going to have a payoff. So a tip for this is something I really like to do in interviews with a guest, is to split your interview into parts. And you can say, okay, that was great. Thank you so much. And let's say you do 45 minutes typically. Well, why not shorten your episode, your podcast episode, split that into a half an hour. And then the last 15 minutes say, I know that a lot of people on YouTube are searching about this. And we're not going to be able to talk about keyword research in this presentation because I just want to get into the nuts and bolts of actually making videos. But you want to do some keyword research, and YouTube has some amazing tools for that. Tubebuddy in particular. So you say, I know people on YouTube are searching for this. Would you mind, since you're an expert in this, would you mind walking me through it or talking to me about that? what happens with that is your guests, suddenly their posture changes a little bit. When you tell somebody that they're actually going to be on YouTube, they kind of perform more, and they will tend to look at the camera a little bit more rather than just look at the screen where they've been looking at you and where they've gotten comfortable and slouchy during their interview with you. And that kind of gets a better performance out of them for your YouTube video, but it also shortens it and puts it into more snackable style content that people on YouTube are going to enjoy more and watch the whole thing. With that being said, it's surprising to me how well full-length podcast episodes are doing on YouTube right now, and all they are is a repurposed version. But in our research and what we've noticed, that takes a lot longer to grow on YouTube, and it's not as attractive as making shortened, really nice clips. So with that, why don't we get to editing, and let's hop over into Filmora, and I will stop sharing my screen here and start sharing my screen with, I'll just share, let's see. I'm going to have to open Filmora here first. I was going to show myself opening Filmora, but I'll just open Filmora this way. And again, like Ariel said, if you have any questions, I'm going to really try to leave some time at the end for a lot of different questions. Lisa says, love Filmora. Filmora is really great. And the reason I chose to use Filmora for this demonstration, Filmora is, you are screen sharing. Hover to hide. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, this is my first time in Crowdcast. So here we are in Filmora, and it looks like, let me try to do a new project here. Bear with me. For here to hide. Looks like I might have to share the screen again. I was sharing something different. Here we go. So this is Filmora. Yes, that looks better there. So you're... Okay, click close mess. Thank you for your patience there. Okay, and so this is what Filmora looks like. And the reason I chose Filmora, you can use any video editing solution you want, but I would steer clear from the free ones like iMovie and things like that, because you want a lot of options. Filmora is a one-time $60, which I think is really affordable for what they have. And they also have really good support. They have an amazing YouTube channel. They're also really cool people. I love Filmora. And it used to be a lot more of a beginner style program than it is now. And they're constantly updating it, and really it's now inching towards being more professional. It's still a little more on the beginner side, but that's actually, I think, a benefit for many of us just getting into video editing. So the first thing I'll show you in Filmora here, if we, and 1 second, if I can get to it. Let's see. Here we go. All right. The first thing I'll show you in Filmora here, and hopefully you can see, I don't know if you can see the drop-down menu from where I go into it, but you'll notice that it is actually in dark mode. If you want to change that, Filmora will actually be in light mode. You go to preferences, and then right here from the user interface, it'll say appearance and dark mode. You can change that to light mode if you prefer to work in light mode. That's just something that took me forever to figure out. So here we are in Filmora, and I've downloaded that interview that I showed you I did with Veronica on my desktop. So I can either import it by clicking this button right here, or I can go to the Finder and just import that footage from my desktop or from a folder that I made. And I also have some other assets and things like that. And that's generally the first step that we do in editing video, just like audio, is we just kind of pull all of our assets, pull all of our files into the folder. But I'll just pull them in one at a time here. So I have initially, let's take a look at that footage we got from SquadCast, because it's really impressive. Hold on. And this is so cool that there just isn't any internet noise on it. So here we go. I've pulled in both of these, and all you have to do is simply drag and drop this into the timeline. And I got a tad ahead of myself. I just want to show you that a really easy way to learn Filmora is to, along the top here, we see media, audio, titles, transitions, effects. These are all of the different options and things that you can very easily use in Filmora. So anytime I'm getting into a new software, I always just kind of click around and start reading things and making sense of the software. And then down here along the right, we see more tools. If you hover over any of these tools in the middle of the screen here, it'll tell you what it is. Record voiceover. So just, you can slow down and you can just hover over things and make sense of things. And it's going to be maybe a little slow at first, but eventually you'll get cooking and you'll get really fast at video editing. I've also seen some really impressive things where people edit their video and then they export the audio of the video they edited and then add a unique audio intro for their podcast episode. So there's a lot of creative workflow and repurposing things that you can do. So it's as simple as, now that we have all of our media that we're going to be using, now we're going to take the media that we're using and we're going to put it onto our timeline. And so I'll grab Veronica and I'll take her down here, and I'm going to keep the project settings. So right here, it's saying match to media because her the camera on our computers are 1280 by 720. So I'll keep it to a 1980 nice project size. I'll pull her right there. And then already just look at that footage as I kind of scroll through it. You can see it looks really good. There's not a lot of artifacts, internet artifacts on that. That's so exciting to me. And then we also take me and we can drop me in there as well too. So here's, now we're both here. We have high quality video recordings of both of us and this interview. And the first thing I want to do is kind of explain how you can navigate around Filmora. You'll see this red line here. This is I like to call it a cursor, but it's also called a playhead. And you can double click in the timeline anywhere here, and it will take you anywhere in the project. And perhaps the best quick key to memorize in Filmora is the plus and minus key. We use those a lot in lots of different software, but minus, if you press the minus key, will zoom out and plus will zoom in. So that's really nifty. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to press this icon right here, and that's going to hide me and just show Veronica. And the first thing I'm going to show you that Filmora does is it allows you to apply color correction or color grading to your video. This is typically something that professional video editors do at the very end, but with Filmora, it's better to do it at the first because there isn't a simple way to copy your settings to all these, once you make all these slices everywhere, if that makes sense. So if you double click on any of the footage in question, it brings up this where you are allowed to now adjust the video. You can adjust the audio, which is great. And they have different audio effects. They actually have a pretty decent background noise remover effect here. And then color. And in color, you can use these auto features here, or you can get even more advanced and click advanced, and it will open up this advanced color correcting or color tuning tab, it calls it. There's presets here that it has. These are LUTs or different looks, you could call it. Or we could just say reset all here. And sometimes you can get some really cool looks by just using the presets. I typically just like to go into the adjust tab here. And from here, I'll go to white balance. And here you can kind of white balance things. So I'm noticing that she looks a little orange, a little yellow for my taste. So I think maybe a little more magenta color would look nice in her face. So I can start sliding to the right. And look, if I slide all the way over, it's like way too much, right? So just a little bit of magenta there, I think, in that, to me, looks a lot nicer. And then from white balance, you just go all the way down through this color correction process. We could go to color here. This is where we have very common settings like exposure, brightness, contrast. So I'll add a little bit of exposure. Maybe I'm a guy who likes a lot of contrast. I think contrast is good for you. And then a little vibrance maybe, and a little saturation. But again, we wouldn't want to overdo it with the saturation, just a little bit. And then when, why not? Let's add a vignette as well too down here. Vignette is, if we go all the way to the left, you'll see it kind of darkens the corners. You can also change the roundness. This feather here, you'll actually see what the vignette is. You're creating kind of a spotlight on the speaker's face, which is nice. So we'll keep that feather up there. I like to do that because now she's looking a lot more dramatic, and we got a lot more dramatic, really nice clip out of this footage. We wouldn't be able to do this unless the footage was good and was of a good quality. Otherwise, it would look too artifacty and gross. This little eyeball up here at the top, it says show original. We can hold it down to toggle on and off and see the difference between the two videos. So that is really great. I mean, that's an immediate like, whoa, it pops out. It's way better. So we can say okay there. And now we have her done. And then we would quickly go to me, and we would go to the same advanced thing, and we kind of repeat the same process. I could just go to the white balance, maybe give myself a little more of that magenta color. And then we can also give me a little more brightness, a lot of contrast, a little more vibrance, and a little more saturation. And I don't need a vignette. We'll just say okay with that. So now we've got both of these pieces of video that are ready to go. And this is one of the things I like most about Filmora. I'll go ahead, now that I'm done with this panel here that allows me to fine tune the video in question that I have highlighted, I can press OK. And now if we go all the way over to the left here, we have something called split screen. And this is really cool specific for us, for podcasters who are doing remote interviews. And they have really cool split screen options here right out of the box. They have for 3 people, they have for 4 people, they have different styles. So what I like to do is I actually like to build my split screen and then export it and bring it back into Filmora. And so I'll show you how to do that super easy. Let's choose this one right here. So all you have to do is grab this, drag it onto the timeline, and then put it to the very beginning. And I'm pressing the minus key, and you just kind of slide it over to the very beginning. And then if I hover to the right of any of these clips, you'll see this familiar trim icon, which allows me to trim or change the duration of the item. So now this item is the same duration as these. I can double click on this item and I can now drag Veronica in here, and I'll drag me in here. And then once I've done that and dropped these into here, I can click on them and adjust them. I like to get the faces a little bigger, and I try to get them about the same size of face, and also the have their eyes kind of be in the same area, make sure that the split screen footage that we did looks really good together. So now that looks really great. I can turn the volume down of these two if I want to, and now I can just render this out as it is, export this as a file, and then drag the file back in. That's how I like to work, but you could also just keep the split screen just like this in here and work this way too. But to show you how you can render it, you just come up to the top where it says export, and you say export to device or create video. And if you create a video, you can choose between a move, M.O, I call it move, or an MP4. I like MP4s, and you would just title it like split screen or whatever you want to title it, and then export it. And when you export it, it takes a minute to export. I didn't want you to wait for this to export, so I already exported this, and now I'll just say, yeah, go ahead and cancel that export. So now what I can do is I can come along the top here, back where it says media, and from media, I can now import what I just did. So now I'll come down to my Finder, and it's right here, Vero and Steve split screen. And I drop that and pop it in here. And now I can replace that. I can kill this by clicking on it and pressing the delete key. And now I have Vero and Steve split screen, and I can pull this and drop it in right there. Now, the one thing is this split screen will also need that similar color correction. So we'll have to go in there and pop into the advanced color correction tab again and quickly do that. Now, you could have, everything I did, you could have actually made those into presets. And so they match perfectly, and then you could just apply a preset, but I'll just give that, I remember what I did, so it's not too hard. We'll come in here, tad, a little bit of exposure, a little bit of contrast, and a little bit of vibrance. It's never a bad idea to make your visuals pop a little more. So there we go. Maybe I was a little too purple on that, but it's fine. So now what we can do is what typically same thing you do in audio. And this is the first stage of editing. And that's to clean up all the stuff you don't want. And so we would go through this and we would clean up all the stuff we don't want. Then we can include our unique intro. So this, we're going to say this is a YouTube video. So for YouTube, we really want, it's very important that we have a hook. It's very important that we have an attractive thumbnail and that you take time to look into how you make attractive thumbnails. I love Canva for that, canva.com. If you are unfamiliar with that, I think Canva is one of the 5 toolkits, the Podcasters toolkit. By the way, SquadCast is another one of the top tools that you need in your toolkit. Canva Pro, and I think it's like $10 a month, but it's totally worth it. So anyway, what we do here is we could actually group all these pieces together by clicking and dragging to create a marquee. And then you'll see they have all been highlighted, and now they'll kind of move as one piece. But this can get a little complicated. And with Filmora, you can actually group it by pressing Command G. But then when you group it, the splitting and things isn't as it's not as intuitive. It doesn't work really. I'll show you what it does. If you split this, it'll split it, and it'll say, "Do you want to keep the split clips as a group?" And if you keep them as a group, then this is all still grouped together, which means you won't be able to remove the parts you want to remove. So what I do is I actually don't group them together at all, and I just come through here and split this. So we're not going to play this. I don't think we were really saying anything intelligible in this interview anyway, but let's just imagine that this is a nice like 7, 8, 10-minute YouTube video. So what I do is I just make sure that all 3 of these are highlighted. I like to keep the split screen on top to do the edits. And I would come in here and I can either press this little scissors icon, which is click to split, or you can press the S key for split, and I would split, and here I would just tell it to ungroup, but now it's ungrouped everything. Then I could move the cursor, press the S key again to split, and I could just kind of go through and make any cuts and cut out all the stuff that I don't want and make it more cohesive. The one thing that's really cool about what I love about having 2 cameras or 3 or 4 cameras is it creates a really nice ability to be able to cut to a new chunk. So if you screw up and it's one camera shot and you cut to a part where, and you separate that part in the middle, you're going to see a harsh jump, like your face is going to move positions. Well, what you can do is you can just change to another camera angle, and we'll do that here. So now I've made these splits. Let's make a couple more just so I could show you. And notice I didn't have them all highlighted, so it only split the one on top. So I can press Command Z, make sure that I have them all highlighted, and press the S key for split again. And then I come here and make sure they're all highlighted and press the S key. Now, Filmora is lagging a little bit because of everything I'm asking my computer to do. It actually runs a lot faster than this. And now I want to show you this icon over here. Auto ripple on is what it says when I hover over it. If you're not familiar with ripple deleting, if that's a new term for you, it's something you should really look into your audio editing too, because it saves us so much time with editing. And I'll illustrate what ripple editing does. So if I turn this icon off and I click these parts here in the middle that I don't want, and I press delete, they just delete, they move. And I have to now fill this space between here myself. I'd have to grab all of these, drag them to the left. And Filmora does a pretty good job of clipping them or snapping them together. But I'm going to go ahead and press Command Z or Control Z on a PC to undo that. And then I could just come up here and turn the ripple back on again. And now watch what happens if I grab this and I press delete. Filmora will sandwich those together for me. And ripple deleting is available in pretty much every audio editing software, DAW, and also every video editing software. So now I just grab the other parts that I cut out that I don't want, and I press delete. And there we go. Now I have my main edit. So now that I've cut out all the garbage, I have my main edit, I have my main interview. Now I can play around with the camera angles. And this is really easy. Now I wouldn't have them all highlighted. I would just have this one on the top highlighted when I don't want the split screen here. And I'd press S and I'd cut that out. I'd come over here, press S, cut that out. Now, obviously we would be listening and we'd be finding the best part to actually cut it out. But one thing that, and I'm going to back up a little bit. One thing that I typically like to do as well when I'm editing, and there's, 100 ways to bake a cake, but I like to have the volume up on the speakers here below instead of have the volume up here, because then you can actually see who's speaking. And that helps as far as knowing when to change the camera, if that makes sense. But I'll just keep the volume the way it is for the purposes of this tutorial, because I really do want to leave some time for questions. And anyway, so now that we do that, we go back and we press, let's again delete some of this top layer here, which is our split screen. And we do that by having it highlighted and pressing S. And then we come over here, we have this highlighted, press S. And now let's go here too and press S. And this was, you'll notice what happened there is I have the ripple on. So this is an example of when you don't want the ripple on, where I lose the time relationship between these two, right? So make sure that ripple's off when you're doing this type of editing as well. And then I press the delete key here. And now I have, you'll notice if I go through it, and then it clips to her, right? Now, I think that the timing went off, because of my ripple editing. So that's a mistake I'm glad I made here, so that you guys can see it's important to turn this ripple editing back off when you're just cutting one, because you don't want it to sandwich together and lose its time relationship. So we come here again, and now when I delete these, it's not going to slide the whole interview together and move everything. So there we go. And I'll probably bring up the split screen again for the very end of the video and press S there. And then I would repeat the process whether I want it to be on me or Veronica here. So here it would be Veronica's shot. If I wanted it to be my shot, I can, if I wanted to, it would be my shot, and I press this eye icon here. So I'll press split here on me, cut me a few times. And I think this is enough of an illustration to get your creative juices flowing, so that you can see that you can actually be very specific about which camera shot you want Filmora to display. And that does take a little extra work, but once you get good at it, once you kind of have a system down, it's work that's totally worth it, because it makes your interview so much more dynamic to actually change those shots. And it's so much more addicting to watch. People will get through your videos more, and retention time, audience retention time, is a very important metric on any platform at all. So now we can just play through that. And again, I don't really know what we were talking about. Why don't I just turn down the volume so we could just watch the video of it? And there we go. Oh, also there's this button right here that if you hover over it, it says zoom to fit timeline. That's a nifty button. So you can just do that. And now it zooms out to everything that's on your timeline. And you can see these camera shots as we changed them. Makes for a really nice dynamic video. Goes to her, back to me again, and then back to both of our shots again. So we're into a really nice interview there. And again, this gives you really good options as far as when you can cut. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to get my unique intro in here that has a really good hook to it, because we really want to hook people in. And the most simple way to do that on YouTube is to say, in this video, you're going to learn this, or in this video, expert so-and-so is going to teach you this, something that's like, oh yeah, I got to watch that. You can also experiment with like anything that you think would really hook somebody in to watch. And it should be very short. And so let's go back to my Finder, and I would find that unique interview that I did. And let's see, I'm actually going to pull in all of the other assets as well too. So here's my unique interview. And then I have a little intro piece. I even have an end card and some music. We can pull all of that in here as well too. So you may as well add some music and add everything else. So here's a bunch of other assets. Here's my intro that I recorded in SquadCast right after I let my guest go. I spent the time to record a unique intro. So I pull that in. Oh, I don't want to pull everything. Everything was all highlighted. I just want to pull this one in here, drop it in there, and kind of repeat the process here. We'd want to put our color correction on it as well. That's why it can be really helpful to make a preset in the color correction tab that we were in, or screen that we were in. And then I would just kind of use the trim tool or the split tool and get my intro perfect. And this is like, hey, you got to watch this video. This is an incredible hook. Then I would take my actual channel intro, which a channel intro could be like some kind of visual graphic. And this is our channel intro, and I would drop that in there. A little tip here is with your channel intro, keep them really short. I think this one might even be a little long, like 5 or 6 seconds, that just says the name of your channel, maybe your slogan or what your podcast is all about. Have it say that. And then if I click right here, you'll see this green box appeared when I double clicked in this area of the timeline. If I press the delete key, it will sandwich and close that gap again. And now I'm ready to go. So let's just watch this. Hey, in this video, your mind's gonna be blown and you gotta watch. And then it will go straight into the channel intro. Now these channel intros, there's a lot of software you can use for these. And then here we are into the interview. I have Veronica, an expert in all things Veronica, so we're good to go there. And then finally, the last thing I want to show you is something called an end card. And an end card you can make in Canva. There's all sorts of ways you can get a hold of end cards. And they can be an image, or they can even be a video, but this is an advanced YouTuber stuff. But in this case, it's just a picture that I made in Canva, and it has these placeholders here. One of the placeholders, I'm actually going to use the video that we just created. And then this other placeholder on YouTube, I can have any video on my channel, or even any video on YouTube, I can display here for people to click on next. And that's really cool. If you can get people on YouTube to click onto your next video, that's a big gold star on YouTube. And then of course you can put your subscribe button here too. That's something you do after the fact in YouTube. So this is like a placeholder for that. So what I could do is I could highlight these two things, drag them down here, and see if I can get this above by just dragging it and clicking it above. And that way I can move him. You got to kind of move these around like puzzle pieces. I'll move him up and this guy down. And you want this to occupy the last 20 seconds of your video. But for this illustration, we'll just pretend this is 20 seconds. And then all you have to do is come here to this, click on the video again. If you double click on it, you get to this option where we had video, audio, color, animation. And you'll also notice over here that we have these marquees that we're used to seeing. This will allow me to resize the video. So now I can just resize the video. I can drag it right where I want it. And I just put it right over here. And if you've watched any of our videos on our YouTube channel, you'll recognize this. This is how we do this. And then check that out. It goes right for the last 20 seconds. The episode kind of keeps going. We keep saying the last things we need to say, but it gives our viewers a chance to subscribe and watch the next video. So that's about it for this quick crash course in Filmora. The last thing I wanted to show you that is equally as exciting is let's quickly talk about social media stuff as well. When you open up Filmora, you can come into Filmora and you could say new project, and it will ask you if you want widescreen, Instagram, which is 1:1, so you can make square videos for your Instagram posts. With your square videos, those can be up to a minute long. I love to put a square video in Instagram in an Instagram cascade. People love that stuff. They're very shareable that way. Or you could do the 9:16 portrait. Let's select that one. I'll go ahead and save this project here. And I'll just save it as Untitled here, the new project I'll make. But make sure that you use good naming conventions and organize your folders properly. That'll also save you a lot of time. And then here in import, basically the same process I went through before. I could just import the to go through a similar process, but now it's for Instagram. Or let's say this is an Instagram story. So I want it to be like 45 seconds. So it would be like 3 different Instagram stories, or maybe even this is like a YouTube Shorts or an Instagram Reels. So it's in that vertical position. So I would go back to my desktop. I would go to our interview and I would grab our 2 video files. Let's see if I can find them. There they are. And drag them in here into Filmora. And now look, if I go to split screen, I have these split screens that are made for the portrait mode, which is also really cool. So I could use kind of a similar one that I was using here, go like that, drag it out to my exact 15, 30 seconds and have a lot of fun with the editing of this too. And then you can see I can just drag Veronica in there and drag me in here, and then we can resize them. And you can see Filmora is way user-friendly. It's and super intuitive. And there we go. But you, like I said, also you can achieve this similar things in any video editing software. But these split screens, especially for us podcasters, is something that actually takes a lot longer to achieve in something like Adobe Premiere or something. So I really love Filmora for that reason. I wasn't quite zoomed in enough. You'll see a little black at the top there. That's because I need to zoom myself in even more to make sure that we fill this entire frame without getting any black there. And there we go. And now I have a really cool split screen that I can share on my Instagram stories. I can even add text. Filmora has really cool transitions. The titles it has here are really cool as well too. You can add your own titles over the top of your things. Some of these titles and different effects they have can be a little gimmicky. You want to be a little careful, but they're also really great for comedy shows and things like that as well. So with that was my quick crash course in Filmora, and now I am completely open and we are open for questions. Any questions you might have about anything podcasting, or let's say specifically for podcasting in video form.
We've got, it looks like 10 questions already for you. Some of them have been answered throughout. The first one is, will this be recorded? Let me just say yes. It is being recorded and it will be available immediately afterwards at this link, and it'll be available forevermore. So don't worry if you missed anything. All right. Can you show us how to take the SquadCast videos and mix them like you do with audio?
And mix them like you do with audio.
That is not something that SquadCast allows right now, but it is something that we're thinking of doing, Amy. However, what Steve was able to do, I don't know if you want to just talk through grabbing the 2 files and what you did with them on Filmora one more time, just the split screen and everything.
Yeah, the split screen, yeah, for sure. So, and let's see here. Share screen. Let me go back to Filmora real quick. So the split screen, that's basically what I just did here in the Instagram format. So that's really cool. So that feature that Ariel was mentioning, if SquadCast intends to roll that out at one point to where I guess you're asking like a composed track, like the way it composes audio into one thing. You can do that so easily in Filmora, and you can do it very specific to the dimensions of the video you're trying to create. So to show you again real quick, we say File, New, and now I'm going to make a square video, and I'd say Save. And in the square video, you just pull in both video files into that. You pull both video files into the split screen. This is, again, why I said I really love Filmora, because they have the split screen option, and it's really quick. So here we go. That's not the best one. Well, this is pretty cool for Square, because then you have some place for some stuff on top there. But see, now I would just drop Veronica right in there, and I would drop me right in here. And now these will play together. The audio will be together, and you can export them as one, and you could just be done with that. And all that fancy stuff I did, you can. You don't have to do any of that fancy stuff. You could actually just make your video with the 2 of you sandwiched together like that. I like the word sandwich today.
Awesome. Thank you so much to Amy for asking that question, and to Steve for your lovely answer. The next question that we have is, is Filmora the same as Filmorago on mobile devices? Do you know that?
I'm not sure. I don't know that question. The answer to that question.
Okay, Ryan, that probably can be a quick Google situation. I was just wondering if Steve had some mobile experience, but I'm sure you can find the answer pretty quickly. Next question. What's the best site to find trending and popular keywords on YouTube?
Ooh, it's Tubebuddy. And let me just quickly show you Tubebuddy real quick, because I love that you asked that question. And this is such a huge thing for podcasters and content creators. Let me just get into our YouTube channel and I'll show you what Tubebuddy looks like. And let's see if I can share this screen there. So Tubebuddy, and there's other things as well, not just Tubebuddy. Oh, I have to go here. So this is going to look a little weird, I'm sure. But then if I go here, that should look right? No, I have to get over. Okay. Ariel, can you see the YouTube channel? I'm kind of blind now.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Perfect. So here's the YouTube channel, and you'll notice that mine looks different than maybe yours does. And that's because all this stuff in the middle here, this is Tubebuddy. These are channelytics. So this is already something. And Tubebuddy, by the way, is a free Google Chrome extension. And then they have different tiers. And the entry tier, I think, is like $8, $9 a month. If you go to tubebuddy.com/podsoundschool, you'll save a little bit of money, which is great. And then they kick us a little affiliate, which is fun. But here at the top, we have this button right here. And these are kind of the tools for Tubebuddy. And this is my favorite tool. This is a huge game changer. And not just for YouTube, but also for other things too, just to have an idea of what your audience is searching for. And it's called the Keyword Explorer. And here, let's say I have a podcast about ant farms or something, right? I can type in ant farms here, and if I click enter, it will tell me how much this exact keyword or phrase is searched for down here in the search volume. It's searched for quite a lot, just ant farms. And then it will tell me how my channel can compete for it. So right here it says fair, and I see 32 out of 100. So I'm not going to do very well here. I'll probably be pretty low on the list. But for example, with our channel, since it's a podcasting channel, I could say something like podcasting or podcast promotion or something like that, and see how many times that's searched a month. And now I'm getting my score up into a good area. And then it also over here gives me related searches. So podcast promotion strategy was a suggested related term it gave me, and that's not searched a lot. So basically you just spend some time in Keyword Explorer here, typing in key phrases that you think people would be looking for around the topic of your show or around the topic of your episodes. So like even how to build an ant farm. And and the other thing here too is you don't have to make how-to videos. You can still make the exact content you're making with your podcast. There's I think a misunderstanding there that you have to make how-to videos, but this is just, I'm not finding any good examples. Let me see. What if I did, how about how to start a podcast? Because then you'll see how to start a podcast is searched a lot on YouTube. And as you can see here, it says the search volume is all the way up in green. And it's telling us that our channel isn't going to rank very well for that. The other thing you could do is you can come here to results, and you can see I guess you call them competitors. I like to think of them as peers because we're all creators and we all have a space and an audience. But here you can see who's ranking for this term. And if we roll down here, this can give you, we're actually in here on number 12 with how to start a podcast on your phone. So that's kind of cool. And then you can also then click on the video of your competitor and it will pull up that video, and then Tubebuddy gives you more information about their video. It shows you the tags they used with their video, where you could say show search ranking. So Tubebuddy is a big one. And the other really big one, if you guys, when it comes to market research, is answerthepublic.com. I'm using this all the time. Here we could just type in ant farms into answerthepublic.com. And this will show us what people are typing into Google. And it's actually what it is on Google is it is this, where they draw their data from is ant farm right here. So you see how, and we know this, the auto populate that Google has, this is all like kind of trending stuff to answer your question about trending. So ant farm theme song is something that people are searching for a lot right now. And then over on Answer the Public, it will, and I like to click on this data, it will actually show you questions and prepositions and things people are asking. Do ant farms need a queen? Do ant farms smell? Do ant farms need water? Do ant farms need air holes? All of a sudden, now you have some things that you've validated, people are searching for, that you can make an episode about, that you can make a YouTube video about. And then you're directly answering questions that your community is having. And that is how you can really light some fire under your content creation, is to take some time and do some market research. And that'll really help you with that. And there you go.
Awesome. Next question from Eric. Can Filmora export portrait like IGTV or Reel videos as well?
Yes, it can. Mm-hmm. And so all of those dimensions. You would just want to actually edit the video in that dimension for better results.
Next question from Lisa. Why did you pull in the split screen back into the editor so you are only optimizing one audio track?
Yeah, so the reason I do it is because it just makes more sense to me, and I do it in other video editing software as well. And like I mentioned, you can actually just keep the split screen there, but I like to see it as one file, and then then I can just have it to be the one audio track. I can turn the audio down on the other ones. On that same idea of the audio track, you can also, like I mentioned, export the audio out of Filmora. If you want to get really fancy, you can mute each speaker and export one at a time. That doesn't take very long to export the audio. And then you can upload that audio into a digital audio workstation like Reaper or Pro Tools or Adobe Audition, and really put all of your fancy plugins and everything that we've gotten used to putting on our voices, de-essers, gates, compressors, EQs, limiters, all that fancy stuff we like to put on our podcast voices. You could put that on, make like an audio mix of your video, and then drag that back into Filmora, and then now you've got like some serious professional video going on there. Hopefully that answered your question.
Awesome. I'm going to invite Zach to come back up because we have some questions that are now both SquadCasty and video recording. So Zach, if you want to join us back. And while you're joining us, here is a question more about Filmora from Andy. What sort of audio sweetening can Filmora do?
It doesn't do all that much. Let me just check real quick here. Truthfully, I'm not very impressed by the audio sweetening that Filmora does, and I don't think it does compression yet or anything like that. It does do an equalizer, but I don't like the equalizer very much. It does a really good job with the denoise, and that's about it. No compression, no limiting. So I would really advise exporting the audio, mixing it into a digital audio workstation. So that's another step. The other thing you could do is sweeten your audio before you pull it into your Filmora track as well too. So there can be some workarounds, but it does do normalizing, and so it will export a really nice sound out of there. So there's that. It is limited in that way.
Awesome. Welcome, Zach, back up to the stage. Our next question comes from Patty, who says, I joined a little late. Is there a way to stream the video recording session on SquadCast as it happens on Twitch?
Yes. You could wire that up. And in our next major update, we're collaborating with Dolby. So we're excited to be adding live stream options there. So that's exciting, as well as post-production enhancements for desibilance and background noise reduction and a bunch of the stuff you might kind of clean up your audio with after the fact. That's something that we'll be bringing to the platform as well. And that'll be about a month out from now. So super excited to bring V4 to you all.
And Fari in the comments says, kudos to the women in tech sweater.
Thank you. I think our advisor, Esprit Devora, still has these for sale. So check out Women in Tech on any social platform, and you'll find that she is a force of nature. So thank you, Esprit.
Next question, here we go, from Laura. Can you let us know what softwares are good to use for making the intro and outro clips that you make?
Great. Thank you for reminding me of that. I was gonna mention that. Yes, placeit.net is a really good one. Placeit has all sorts of fun things. If you go to placeit.net, you'll see YouTube intros as one of the options there. The intro that you saw that I used for this example, I did in Magisto, which is an app on the phone. Oh, my phone still has the flashlight on. That's an app on the phone, and that is really cool. I love Magisto. The thing I like about Placeit is it's like a one-off $10 it's like $10 and you get one, and it's really customizable, really easy to use. You can import your own video and photos that are on brand. You can use your own brand colors. So that's a really popular one for YouTube creators. And then Magisto as well, which is like Magisto. That's a really cool app as well. And Magisto is really fun, but it's like $9, $10 a month or something like that. But I use it all the time for clients' work too, because it just creates all sorts of weird visual effects that you can use for things. So those are my two go-tos for the video intros.
Awesome.
Oh, and you could also hire someone on Fiverr to do it as well.
True.
For $30, $50, and they would make a really nice intro video for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. And this question, I believe, is directed towards Zach. When you upgrade your account and go into the recording session and hit record, is it automatically recording video and audio?
Yes. Yes, it is. That's no different experience for you to record or for your guest to record audio or video. We wanted it to be super comfortable for what you're used to with recording audio. And we've always had video, much like Steve and I are on video right now. We've always had that on SquadCast. So if you're on a video plan, we're recording video, and you'll see those files show up. You'll also see like progress bars for videos, like I think you had in one of the screenshots, Steve. Thanks for showing us that. And yeah, that's something we'll probably be adding, like a toggle. So that way, sometimes you may want to record only audio. Sometimes you may want to record audio and video. So that's something that we're thinking through with our design team. But yes, to answer your question, if you upgrade to video, you'll be recording video, and you'll have access to like primary videos as well as video backups, which is a big part of the reliability and confidence that we provide with SquadCast.
Awesome. We've got 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Here we go from SJ. Old audio guy, but new to video making. Is it better to title your videos with a question or a statement?
That's a big one. I think both, and do a mixture of both. Questions are really good. Statements are also really good. I've found a lot of success of using the different pronouns you use have a big difference. If you say my, like, how do I get my thing to work? That seems to really catch people. So I don't think there's one I don't think one performs better over the other. It's just kind of your own market research for your specific show.
Yeah, interesting insight. I think my rather than your, is that kind of the idea?
Yeah.
So that you're personalizing it?
Yeah, so like to say how to fix your bathtub versus how to fix my bathtub. Mm-hmm. You personalize a little more, like how can I fix my bathtub, and then you get a thumbnail on there of you, like, you know, and people will click
Classic.
on it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right, next question from Fari. For people creating a lot of content, waves are a nightmare for storage and sharing. Why does SquadCast default us to a really poor unstreamable quality MP3 recording, forcing us to save waves? Surely setting it to 192 or 320 kps isn't that complex or problematic.
Happy to provide some insight here. So you have options, right? You could download MP3, you could download WAV. The reason the MP3 standard, I think, is what you're getting at, could be higher. The reason we chose that was not just picking a number. It was because if you look at, we have a lot of people actually, of course, creating podcasts and videos on SquadCast, but also audiobooks. And like really proud to work with Penguin Random House and Audavita Productions on audiobook productions. And if you go and look at like the Audible standard for what they want you to upload, those MP3s of an audiobook or voiceover, that matches our MP3 standard. So we decided that was like an industry standard thing. We like Audible. That seemed to make sense. So that's why we went with that standard. But we're open to ideas. Like I emphasized earlier, our culture is big on listening. So if there's something else you'd like to see, or maybe we provide that as an option. We, of course, start with the WAV. So there's no reason we couldn't. We are essentially transcoding to MP3 from WAV. So we could make that whatever standard you like. WAV is obviously higher, so putting it into MP3 is something that we do as kind of a convenience, and that's another reason why the file size we wanted to be really lightweight. So that's why the MP3 is not like the highest quality MP3 it could be. And this is everything I've just talked about is all primaries. You could also access your backups, which are a different quality MP3 of the full conversation. So you do have options there. So I'd check out those backups as an alternative, but open to ideas for sure.
Thank you, Zach, and thank you, Fari, for the question. And last quick question for you from Andy. Zach, can you talk a little bit about the future of video? Is there 1080 video coming?
Yeah. Yes, it's not necessarily in our immediate plans. We have some platform updates, like I mentioned, the collaboration with Dolby. We have like collaboration for multiple shows and teams collaborating within each of those shows. Mobile, desktop. We have a big year planned. So the reason we went with 720 was kind of like high enough to be HD, but without putting too much pressure on people's networks. So we wanted to tread very lightly as we introduced video and got it out of beta in the work there. But there's no reason we couldn't go up to like 8K. That's just going to put a lot of pressure on you and your guest network. So that's really where we wanted to be mindful there. But I appreciate your question. It's helpful to validate that being something that you're into. Thank you.
Awesome. That is it for our questions, and we are right on time. It is 5 o'clock Eastern. So, Steve, real quick before we head out, where can people find you, follow you, stay in touch with you if they have questions about Pod Sound School?
Yeah, anywhere at Pod Sound School. I'm on Twitter usually. Veronica's on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Pinterest. So anywhere at Pod Sound School.
Awesome. And anything you want to share with the crowd, any upcoming events or videos you've got?
Yeah, well, actually, if you're really into, if you really want to dominate the podcasting game on YouTube, we just came out with a course that we're super proud of where we collaborated with Nick Nimmin, who's like our all-time favorite podcast or YouTube coach on YouTube. Definitely recommend checking his channel out if you want to learn about how to really work the YouTube algorithm and grow on YouTube. And it's called Smart Podcasting on YouTube. We're still, we had I guess you would say our beta group, but we call them our Spy Elites that are in the course right now. And then it's going to be actually public in in probably a few days. You'll be able to just go to podsoundschool.com and learn more about that course.
All right. And it looks like we did have 2 other questions pop up. So Femi and Ryan Hare, we'll answer you in the chat after this ends. So just stick around and we'll definitely get you an answer. We just want to make sure to wrap up near an hour. So again, thank you, Steve, so much for your time. Really appreciate it. We love Pod Sound School. We love what you guys are up to, and it was super cool of you to share
we're
your
huge
squad
fans,
skills.
and we were so happy to see you come on board with SquadCast, because SquadCast is some of our favorite people, and then Ariel's one of our favorite people. So it was like, man, this is cool,
right?
Yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
so it's so cool, and I really appreciate you guys thinking of us, and we're here for any other training sessions or anything. Just let us know. And again, everybody watching this, we're totally dedicated to help you go places with your podcast. So we have a ton of free content to help with that. And yeah, everyone have a great rest of your day, great Friday night, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Bye, Steve.
See ya.
And for those who are still here, thank you for joining us. And some ways to stay in touch with SquadCast. We're all over social media. We're extremely active, aka I am extremely active. The handle is SquadCast FM all over the social platforms. So do hit us up there, say hello, and I'd love to chat with you. We have a podcast. It's called Between Two Mics, the remote recording podcast. That's when Zach and Rock, our 2 co-founders, get together and talk about all things podcasting. This week they talked about the Facebook news, and I believe in a few weeks we will be making a big splash talking about the new Apple podcast news. And we also have a few other ways you can stay in touch. We have 2 Facebook groups. Just go to SquadCast on Facebook and then search for our groups. And then we also have a SquadCast community team that you can join, and we're going to be doing some really cool events within that community team that are exclusive to that community. So definitely get in touch with me if you want more information about that. And I think that's it, Zach. Anything from you?
No, this has been a lot of fun. I learned a lot personally, and just incredible all the content we can create with very high quality audio and video. That's just kind of the start of the creative process, and we're honored we can help so many creators get their message out there and provide an awesome experience for their audience. So grateful for everybody's time today. Thank you.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.